今天晚上讲座是由 Mentoring 导师学院组织隐形技能管理全球智库联合主办。那 Mentoring 呢是一家总部位于比利时布鲁塞尔的全球化导师咨询服务机构，它的业务呢遍布全球6大洲35个国家和地区。那我们所有提供的导师技术课程、服务流程以及标准以及组织隐形技能萃取等等，都获得去欧洲导师教练协会的认证以及 GO-TKM 认证。然后呢 Mentoring 中国呢是一家注册在上海的中欧合资企业。2019年11月份，我们首次把欧洲的导师技术引进中国。顺便说一下，那 Mentoring 最早呢源自于1981年在比利时的这个公司啊，1981年最早成立于1981年在比利时啊。那组织隐形技能管理全球智库呢，它也是一家注册于比利时布鲁塞尔的非营利性国际智库，它旨在推动组织隐形技能管理在全社会的运用，推动人类的高效率发展，让人类不再去就全部依赖于像就是说试错去学习，或者是像书本去学习，而有更多的是像我们的经验已经被验证过的经验去进行学习，这样呢毫无疑问呢来推动呢人类的高效率学习。OK， 那么后面呢我就废话不多说，今天晚上我们把时间呢留给我们今天晚上的演讲嘉宾。那么在我们活动开始之前呢，那我们每次呢活动里面都有大量的这样的阅读资料和 PPT。因为那个 PPT 讲座只是我们资料的一部分而已，我们还有很多其他的相关的阅读资料。那欢迎大家呢扫码入群，然后你可以获得 PPT 以及相关资料，在群里面问我们的工作人员，可以获得这些资料，好吧？好，那后面呢 ，OK，let's warmly welcome Professor Wernher to give us the wonderful speech. Now,
I just want to see if I can do presentation mode. I might have an issue with that. Okay. I am going to talk with PowerPoint open in this format. The presentation mode, my screen resolution is not going to play together on the Zoom link. So I'm going to talk and move the slides on by hand. Okay. So how tacit knowledge extraction and technology integration can improve organizational processes and profits. Maybe just a little bit background about myself. I don't know how much Mr. Fisher has explained already in Chinese. I am a computer science pattern recognition neurological specialist, or in short, I combine how people think and how computers process information, and I look deep into tacit knowledge problem domains and try and solve them for companies and software problems. So that gives you a little bit background about myself. And you can also go look at my profile on LinkedIn to see a little bit more deep how I combine and integrate different domains and aspects. Okay. So quickly on today's agenda, I'm going to talk a little bit about business ecosystems. Very important aspect where companies work and how they create their businesses and how they grow. Economics, supply and demand. Many of you already understand this. Those of you don't, you will quickly see how it relates to software and the creation and solving tacit domain problems. I'm going to talk about market dynamics and especially about things that happened the past 2 to 3 years. How innovation is key to technology, integration and business practices. Theory and practice, just touch on that. Technology, current and future direction. Artificial intelligence, machine learning practices coming into the picture. I'm also going to talk on focus areas for tacit knowledge elicitation and technology integration, specific core focus areas, what to look for. Tools, I'm going to quickly touch on many tools that I use and also how I teach and how companies need to look at these tools in their own environments. And then I will just finish off if you want to make contact with me. Thank you very much. Okay. So, business ecosystems.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
I need to translate.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. I need to translate. 今天讲座的这个我们的话题呢，就是这个 PPT 上面的。首先我们来看一下，就是目前我们公司所处的这个商业生态系统。然后呢，我们就是看一下这些企业我们是如何，比如说创造出产品和服务，然后又如何促进组织的这个业务的增长。 第二个呢，我们是从经济学的角度来看一下，就我们基本的这个需求与供应理论。第三个，我们是看一下市场动态，就是包括市场的现状，以及包括未来2到3年以后的这个市场的情况。然后第四个呢是创新，然后在就是我们组织的这个发展里，然后起到什么作用，然后特别是在比如说隐性技能萃取这一块。然后第5个呢，我会从一些理论和实践的角度，我们来看是组织是应该如何将技术和这个业务相整合。然后呢，我们就再来看一下，就是当前和未来的这个技术，包括像人工智能、像机器学习等等。最后呢，我们会分享一些关于如何去就是这个隐性知识萃取以及技术整合我们所要关注的重点。然后我会跟大家分享很多个工具，然后帮助组织去做到这个隐性知识的萃取和技术的整合。然后最后呢，大家如果有什么问题的话，可以联系我们，我们可以帮助到大家。
Okay. So on this slide, there's an example of a business ecosystem. As you can see, it's a network of organizations, and they integrate with suppliers, distributors, customers, competitors, government agencies, just to name a few. Now, inside the picture, you will see how all of these layers play an integrate role into each other as the businesses either is created or expands, or in the multi-dimensional, three-dimensional business model where a business needs to live in order to understand their role in this ecosystem and how they interact and integrate. And what you will also see is core business is the values, the existence for the business, and how direct customers are interacting with it. Distribution channels, if there's maybe it can either be a services distribution channel, it can be a web-based business, or it can be an actual product being distributed either locally or globally. And all of these facets and all of these players in the market make up that business realization, make up that company. And in here, there's many tacit knowledge domain areas that are intricate and very difficult to always see and understand. Okay, I see.
那首先我们来看一下这个商业生态系统。这个商业生态系统呢，它是由一系列组织然后构成的网络。这些组织它包括供应商、分销商、客户、竞争对手以及政府机构等等。那这里呢，它就涉及到就是每一个就像这样的参与者，他在这个生态系统里他起到什么样的角色，然后大家相互之间又是如何就是交互的，相互如何可能通过合作或者竞争，然后促进这个产品和服务的交互。那其实以及包括这里涉及到可能就包括组织的这个涉及到商业价值，然后如何去与客户打交道，然后又如何去利用各种分销渠道将你的产品然后送往国内或者国外。然后最后呢，也是能够满足各种商业需求，然后提升自己这个组织的发展。在这里面呢，有一个比较特殊的话题，就是隐性知识领域了。这个呢，就是在里面呢是组织往往比较难，也容易忽视的一个问题。
Okay. So the next slide, I'm just going to touch a little bit on economics and economic practices. We all live in a supply and demand world. You buy things, you sell things, you consume things, and everything has got a price and a supply. Now, normal economic practices supplies what a company will supply, either a service or a product, and demand for that product. And the little dot there is what we call the equilibrium point, where the price and the quantity being supplied matches up. That means at that price and at that quantity, you do not have a lot of stock. What you dead stock onto a company's books. But this is the theory. In reality, we almost never reach this point. Markets are always volatile. They always move around. So in this environment where we have economics on local, global scale, micro levels, macro levels, different government agencies, and all the policies inside the world environment, the company needs to position themselves, their competitive advantage, and present to the market what they offer, and do it as efficiently and as productively as possible in order to survive and continue to grow. I see.
现在我们来看一下这个，就是我们经济学里经常提到的这个需求与供应问题。 因为这个需求供应就是我们都知道，就是有卖家，它也有买家，我们买东西、卖东西，然后也消费这些东西。那这个时候我们有了产品和服务，自然就有了这个价格。那在这个就是这个图里面，中间有一个蓝色的，这个就是供应达到一个平衡，就是你这个不会有说过多的库存，你这个产品生产出来，它能够立即去卖出去，那这样就达到了一个买卖的很好的平衡点。那理论上来说呢，这个是比较好的点，但实际上我们真正在我们这个市场这样大环境下，它是就是一般很难就是达到这个点的，因为我们经常会出现就是可能各种形式的市场的波动，然后包括我们就是国内的还有国外的一些宏观的微观的这个经济政策，因为然后不同的政府它也有就不同的政策，然后在就是这样比较复杂的环境下，那各种公司就需要能够去给自己做一个很好的定位，就是你需要去供应什么样的产品和服务，然后又能够以最高效，然后又能够比如收益最高的方式，然后能够把产品卖出去。
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about market dynamics. Markets, as I've explained in economics, is in constant flux. They move around, they grow, they shrink. We've got expansion, then there's inflation, then there's recessions, then markets shrink again. So between the supply and demand that's in constant flux, this impacts ecosystems. New ecosystems evolve and others die off. And as the world market keeps on evolving in this crystal ball environment where a company operates and plays and presents their services and products, this constant flux, this continuous involvement of changing an ecosystem creates huge opportunities. And in that constant environment, if you understand how to look for tacit knowledge inside that flux, you can mine a new opportunity and actually create a new product. Innovation comes into mind. And technology, with that layer of understanding and strategic vision for a company, comes into play. These forces need to be understood well when looking at companies, because it's about the company's survival, growth, expansion, integration, horizontal, vertical levels, amalgamations, meaning integration of different companies, creating bigger conglomerates. Questions that need to be considered include: what will the demand for our product be in future? It's a futuristic question. You need to think about in 1, 2, 5, 10 years' time. What would the market potentially be, and is it going to be bigger or smaller, what I'm currently doing as a company? Other question: how much have we grown over the last 5 years? Very important question. It already indicates if you are expanding or if your market demand is declining. That is a warning signal for a company to start looking at the innovation practices and how technology is playing its role in the company's growth, strategic and vision, and continuing into the future. Another question that needs to be asked: did we explore new opportunities and innovate new products? All companies that stop on innovation dies off. That's the nature of the game, because competitors move in with newer opportunities, looking in the constant flux in that environment, spot the gaps, create the opportunity, make the product, and advance. If you do not stay as a market leader, you will fall behind very fast. What, and now, technology's question: what role has technology played in supporting your vision? Is technology actually materializing it? Are they bringing it into reality? Or is it a project or something a company tries to do and do not understand what that return on investment needs to be doing for them? It's an integration layer there. And then, have we realized the benefits envisaged from the technology investment as planned? If that's not taking place, if you spend $100 million on a new software project or a new integration IT project, and that money is not materializing, coming back, then it's a question: is it a business problem or a technology supporting infrastructure problem? So those things need to come into play at the right point in time. And that's also where tacit domain knowledge needs to be elicited. And I'll explain in the next slide as we go forward. I see.
第三个，我们来看一下这个市场动态。我们都就是有亲身的体会，就是市场它是不断变化的。 然后它可能随时的扩张，或者说因为可能经济突然萧条而市场突然缩小。那这个市场的不断的变化，它也会影响着我们整个就是生态系统里，影响着里面的每一个玩家，它会影响到你的可能产品，影响到你的这个服务。那但同时呢，这样市场不断变化，它其实也意味着巨大的机会，我们可以从里面去寻找商机，比如说想一想，可能设计出比如说新的产品和新的服务。那在这个我们在审视很多公司的时候呢，我们会去考虑到很多的问题，特别是你看你这家企业你的增长情况如何，你的战略、你的愿景如何，那你这个企业是否能够长期的生存下去？那在考虑到这方面的时候呢，我们就需要去审视很多的问题。那这些具体的问题包括，首先第一个就是你的这个产品需求，它在未来是怎样的？它在未来的2年、5到10年，它的这个市场需求是怎样的？它的这个市场是比较大呢，还是比如说比较有限？第二个是就是在过去5年，就是你的这个增长情况是怎样的？你的这个规模是扩大了，还是说你的这个产品服务需求就下降了？那第三个是就是在这个市场它不断变化的时候，你是否有探索到新的机遇，然后创造出新的产品？然后第四个就是在你这个创造新的产品，然后这里面还有一个问题就是这有个关键词就是创新，因为创新的话，我们知道它是有很大的机遇，但其实同时也有很大的风险的。那么你在这个创新的领域，你是否就是能够比如说起到一个领导者的角色？因为如果你在领导者的角色的话，那么你在里面因为占了先机，那不然的话，你可能随时会面临这个被淘汰的风险。第四个就是技术，就是你的这个，比如说你的公司这个技术 IT 这方面，在支持你的这个战略愿景是否就是发挥到了这个很好的这个作用？你是否很好的把你这个技术跟业务然后相结合，然后促进了你这个业务的这个增长？但因为这个其实在很多企业其实并没有做得很好，因为比如说很多企业它做了这个技术的投资，但是它并没有实现得到这个预期的收益，那这里面就涉及到一个技术和业务的整合问题。那在这个过程当中，它也涉及到一个隐性知识萃取的问题。这个具体呢，我们下面然后慢慢来讲。
So let me talk a little bit on the innovation inside that market dynamics and the fluctuation that takes place every day. Every year, you cannot always predict it, but you can start seeing patterns and spot gaps. So when looking at a new market or an unexplored opportunity, one needs to innovate to access that market within the fluctuation ecosystem where the company exists and where they live. Several things needs to happen to turn an identified opportunity in that gap analysis or that area into a real business opportunity. One needs to do market research and risk analysis because you need to determine the market or the opportunity that you identify. Is the risk acceptable? Or is it unacceptable for the company to move into? Or is the product that they need to develop going to take too long in order to get a competitive advantage in that new environment that they've identified? They need to look at competitor behavior. They need to look at what other companies are doing. They need to see if another company is moving in a different direction than where they think they would be going. For instance, currently there's a huge competition between manufacturers of electrical vehicles and the manufacturers of normal petrol engine vehicles. There's always this flux. Some people believe the electrical will take over. Some people believe it's not going to take over. So there's constant competition in the current two schools of thought. That's competitive behavior in the automotive industry. Is it possible to collaborate and speed up innovation to get to the market faster? It's something the company needs to do introspection, looking at their current products as well as futuristic innovative products. Can they maybe do a change or an enhancement on an existing product in order to get to market faster with a new value offering? Thinking out of the current box to break open new markets. For instance, if we change our product in a different direction or we add new features, does that provide us a new distribution channel? Does that also provide us the ability to open up a new market we have not used before or entered before? And then one area that many companies sometimes fail or do not always take into serious consideration is research problems that have a big impact can lead to new products and services. A beautiful example is the cell phone. What was the cell phone doing? The cell phone is basically we walk around with a radio with a battery inside, but we are using it in a different manner. So radios have been there since the First and Second World War, and telegraph machines and all of that. It's a communication system. But because of an innovation in a laboratory and with all the advancements in technology on radio networks, it turned into a telephone. Now, the first products were heavy and had their problems, but the research impact was the world could move away from fixed telephone communication systems into a mobile environment. That opened up enormous opportunities where we are today. Okay, I see.
我们在就是市场呢，它有时候是可能是就是难以预测的，因为它可能随时会发生变化。那当我们面对这个新市场的时候，我们就是去研究它，然后或者是能够去发现那些我们就是未曾涉足的，然后一些商机，然后就是那些没有人涉足，然后没有开发的机会的时候呢，我们就需要去创新。那这样呢，可以进入一个新的它市场生态系统里。那如果要把这个我们发现的这个机会，然后变成真正的商机的话，我们需要做几件事。第一件事，首先就是这个市场研究和风险分析，因为我们在机会面前的时候，我们自然是要去分析这个市场，然后也需要去分析我们遇到的风险是不是在我们可以接受的范围。然后比如说这个这个研发它的生产，然后它的这个周期是不是很长或者是怎样的，然后我们相对于其他的这个公司，我们的优势又是在哪里？那第二个呢，是我们要分析这个竞争对手的行为。那比如说举个例子，就是我们现在因为也是经常在讨论的，就是像这个电动汽车、新能源汽车，它是不是能替代我们传统的汽车？因为市场它在随时变化的。那这个问题我们也可以拭目以待。那第三个是我们有没有可能去通过与其他公司或者品牌，我们可以通过合作，然后能够加快创新，然后我们更快的进入市场，然后占领一个先机。第四个就是我们要跳出现有的思维框架，去开拓新的市场。就是可能有些模式，有一些业务是我们之前没有做过的，我们在想是否有这个可能性，然后我们也去为我们打开这个新的可能。第五个是很多公司其实也会忽略的一个问题，就是我们要去研究一些具有重大影响的问题，这个问题可能跟我们息息相关的，然后我们研究这样的问题，看从中是否能找到一些机会，让我们去比如说带来新的产品和服务。比如说像这个我们知道电话手机的发展，像以前最开始我们就采用比如战争时期二战的时候，我们采用比如说电话来就是电报，然后这种形式来维持通信。那慢慢的就是我们有了这个比如说有线电话，后来就是我们有了手机、智能机这样的发展。所以这样呢也是跟随就是我们的这个市场、我们的环境息息相关的，我们去从中可以找到这个商机，然后促进我们的这个公司企业以及包括整个市场大环境，然后对我们人的影响也是会有巨大的影响的。
Okay. So this slide illustrates some of the theory and problem solving in practice and how companies can look at new potential opportunities in a global ecosystem, either a micro or a macroeconomic perspective. So what you'll see is the car manufacturers, I just use this as an example, all of these manufacturers are positioning themselves in the automotive market in some area, either good quality or lower quality, high price, or depends on the quadrant you are looking at. But one thing that when looking at this, and let's say there's a new car manufacturer wanting to enter the market, or either an existing car manufacturer want to create a new brand or a new product line, when they look at this area, they can position them wherever they feel that their product will have relevance and there's demand for that product. But that goes back to the market research, the risk analysis, and all of those aspects when they start designing or adding features to a product. But what I indicate on the slide is the little blue dot that where there's new. Now, in this area, in the multidimensional ecosystem, this presents an opportunity either for an existing company or a new market player to, at a more reasonable price, have very similar quality levels for a car, or for a new car or an existing car, by enhancing features without really pushing up the price significantly. When you start looking at Ferrari and Audi, these are some of the premium players in the market. So quality is expected to be good, but that's still a perception, depends on the consumer behavior on buying patterns for those companies' products. But in here, you can spot a gap in the market in the existing ecosystem. Now, when you look on the right-hand side of where the arrow sits, the theory and knowledge and problem solving needs to integrate correctly at the right spot with all market research in order to identify the gap, where the gap analysis sits, in order to present the opportunity, the tacit knowledge, to come up to the surface so you can view it and integrate with it. This then, if the integration levels are merging at the right layer, you can present a new company or a new product or a new market player can enter the market. Okay, I see.
我们这来看一个就是一个例子，然后是这边是一个关于这个汽车制造商的，因为我们知道就是像图上的这些我们大家都熟悉的这些品牌，然后每个品牌呢它都有自己的定位，就是对自己这个产品质量的定位，然后可能产品有的质量比较好，有的可能质量差一点，然后也有相应的价格的定位，就是价格可能有的就是贵一点，然后有的相对便宜。那这里我们要探索的呢是一个就是可能新的一个契机，就像这个蓝色浅蓝色这个圆的里面这个圈的地方，就是呢有的比如说可能有新的汽车这个制造商他可能会进来，或者说是现有的这些制造商他可能要建立一个新的品牌，或者是建立一条新的生产线。那在这里呢他就是会想的一个问题是，我们比如说相对于其他的产品，它在基于一个比如说更合理的价格之上，然后呢与其他的产品它有这个比较类似相同的品质。那这个就是我们比如说我们要提升比如说这个产品的性能等等。那这里呢我们要做的就是一个比如差距分析，就是你当前这个市场的情况如何，然后你要想就是做到什么样的情况。那在这里你可以基于你的理论、你的知识，然后市场当前的状况，然后以及面临的问题做一个差距分析，然后再进行一个整合，然后形成你所要就是建立的这个产品或者这个公司。那在这个里面呢就出现了这个隐性知识的浮现，就是隐性知识的它的显性化。因为特别是当你就是出现这个新的比如公司、新的产品，然后新的市场的时候，特别是当你就是出现这个新的比如公司、新的产品，然后新的市场的时候。
Let me just move to the next one. Apologies for not putting it into screen sharing mode. I've got two different screen sizes, so it's completely messing up the resolution. So I have to keep in this mode, just for the one request. Okay. Now, theory into practice. How to get tacit domain knowledge to come up, and how to integrate at the technological layer, what I've always said, the right way, or the best way, maybe rather say the best way. So cross-domain understanding and integration of knowledge and theories is key. One of the areas that's many times misunderstood, or not, you do not have enough insight, is hidden domain factors on the business side. When you look at the current Venn diagram on screen, the business side is where the problem sits. It's the business that needs the product. It's the business that needs to solve the service or the issue or the pressure point or a new market penetration. So what they then need to do is they need to look at what technologies are available or understand the technological domain a little bit in order to investigate what is technology's role going to be in order to get the problem or the area they need to solve into an automation or a more efficient way, or maybe it's a first step for a company into a new area or a new dimension. Maybe they want to automate something. Maybe there's a lot of manual processes. So inherent hidden domain factors, or what I also call them sometimes critical success factors, sits on this side of the fence. And the technology domain is where software lives, hardware lives, servers live, manufacturing equipment. There's millions of them, areas and specialities in all of those domains. The trick is to get the success factors that's hidden over to the technology domain. The problem is it's not always easy to articulate or explain what is envisaged by a company. Requirements can be sometimes very vague. It's very open-ended. It's loose. So the technical team or the technical environment cannot always sense where the business is heading or the strategic direction they want to take or what they want to do with the product at the end of the day. So the requirements analysis process, there are many models out there are many business analytical tools out there, helps this up to a certain point. But the trick is, it's the cross-domainal understanding from technology and business perspective that starts to look deeper on the business side, this side, in order to pull the hidden domain factors out. Let me give you an example. A bank requires a loan system to be developed. The loan system has got certain features and certain technical criteria. The technical team will do their JAD analysis and interpretation and what's required from a company perspective. They will go off, they'll do their designs, and they start to build the product. Nothing wrong. The product gets tested. Nothing wrong. But when it moves into production and actual live phases, then maybe not immediately, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year later, certain aspects around the product starts to come up, which hasn't been seen as a hidden domain factor. For instance, the loan system calculates interest on loans, 100% correct, part of the requirement. But now a central bank adjusts via a policy the central interest rate in the country or on a global scale, if we talk about the Fed in America or the central bank in China. So now the system wasn't thought of to automatically adjust all loans on the book because of the policy has changed, the central banking rate has been pushed up or down. The system doesn't automatically kick that in. So now it becomes a manual exercise for the company to go fix all of those loans, or there's another enhancement in the system required in order to take care of that hidden domain factor. If there was a better cross-domainal understanding of the financial system before the technology had to come in, this blue integration layer would not be this, but it will go much bigger over. So certain things that is not articulated during the requirements analysis process then comes up. But that happens when you start looking deep into the domain. I see.
那我们就是如何把这个隐性知识显性化，同时然后借助各种技术，然后从中进行整合。那在这里，其实我们很多人会就是对这个隐性知识的方面，它有一个误解，或者说理解不够充分，就是特别是关于这个业务和技术的这个理解。那我们这里呢，我们就看一下，就是这个从这个知识理论中，我们如何对它进行一个跨领域的一个理解和整合，就是主要是针对业务和技术的就分别的理解以及整合。那首先业务呢，它涉及到的，比如说你企业你现在的问题存在哪里，那你需要去解决哪些跟产品和服务相关的那些问题，然后或者说是你需要比如说你要去进行市场渗透，比如说是哪些进入到哪些新的市场，这些都是业务相关的问题。那技术呢，就是在技术方面我们主要是理解，比如说首先你采用什么样的技术，然后这些技术在你的这个业务过程当中它扮演什么样的角色。因为特别是比如说我们在组织里我们的业务遇到一些问题的时候，然后技术呢它往往会介入，然后就是把你这个解决问题的过程让它变得更就是自动化，然后更高效。在我们 比如说这里呢也有一个就是例子，我们举一个比如说银行的例子吧，就是银行，然后比如说一家银行，它就要开发一个这个什么贷款系统，那首先，然后它就是告诉了这个技术部门，那技术部门呢，它就是对这个首先它进行了一个分析，然后它是理解了这个就是银行它对这个系统的要求，然后呢，它就开始设计这个产品，然后这个设计这个系统呢，它可能花了也比较长的时间，可能花了6个月。这个借贷系统它的这个贷款计算呢，主要是基于这个利率的。那后来呢，可能出现了一些政策的变化，就是央行它决定就是说这个我们的这个利率呢计算呢是要基于一个比如说从国家的或者是国际层面，比如说通用的，就可能换了一种计算方式。但因为它这个系统就是技术部门在设计这个系统的时候，它已经把它这个整个过程就是自动化了。但是政策一变的话，它这个自动化呢就是出现了问题，那它就要去手工去改变这个改变这个计算问题。那这个时候我们就出现了这个技术的，也导致这个技术它的结果也是就是也出现了问题的。那这个呢，我们就需要其实技术部门它在介入之前呢，它首先一定要对这个业务其实需要有一个就足够充分的了解，然后知道是这里面涉到一个跨领域的理解与整合，你不能够说单单的去只是做这个技术，你需要把这个业务跟技术是结合起来的，因为这样的话，我们才能就是把这个里面潜在的这个因素，然后让它显性化，就是将这个我们隐性的知识可以将它显性化，这样呢才能更好的就是促进我们这个组织的发展。
Okay. So let me show you a practical example quickly. If I ask a person or an audience or a company something like this, what do you see? 9 out of 10 times the answer that would come back to me is, I see an apple. And that's all they see. Or maybe I see a red apple, or maybe I see the green leaf. I'll tell you what I see.
那我们来看这张图，就我问过很多人或者很多公司，然后大家看这张图看到什么呢？那90%的回答就是说大家看到了苹果或者红苹果，我看到了绿叶。那我告诉你们我看到了什么？
So let's open the apple a little bit. If you look deeper into the actual agricultural domain and you slice the apple through, I see an apple factory. I see apple juice. I see pickers. I see a distribution chain. I see a global distribution chain in other countries where the apples are not produced. So looking deeper in the domain, this plain apple or this plain farm product can turn into a number of opportunities for a company, or let's say it's a farming business, and they've got various channels they can use. And now it becomes key what technology's role needs to be in order to make that vision a reality. How do I pack? How do I distribute? What do I need to cool things down? How do I automate my picking processes? How do I keep the product's quality quite high? What must technology be in order to get from the farm to the consumer? How long does that channel take? How much cash flow do I require? All of those aspects come into play. And now a company or a farm producing environment can start looking at technology practices. What technologies are available to them in order to take their vision and grow the farming business? Open up new factories. How is their distribution chain looking? How is their data points looking? What is their current sales forecast? The business intelligence and data analytics starts to come into play from a software developmental perspective. What is the underlying data telling them? Is there new markets opening up? For instance, can I not maybe mix different apple flavors to get a new product type out in a new market? Maybe there's a different apple vineyard I haven't explored yet that I can test as part of innovation and research to determine if there will be a demand for this new apple type. And this is where technology needs to come in. It needs to look deeper into the business and the vision and bring those tacit knowledge up to the surface in order to know what to look for, what to automate, and what to integrate in this global micro and macro ecosystem that keeps on evolving every day. I see.
我告诉大家我看到了什么。那我看到的是，就是苹果工厂，然后看到苹果汁、苹果的采摘，苹果的这个销售，然后它就是以及它的运输，它运到了说世界各地。那这里呢，就是我们就是看一样东西的时候呢，我们如果能看到很多的商机，是又会怎样？那在这个时候，技术又扮演着什么样的角色？因为当我们看到很多商机的时候，我们会考虑到，比如说我们这个产品它的分销、它的销售，然后它比如说它的一些工艺，比如说冷却工艺，它的品质，然后它是如何就是从这个农场，就是从这个农场工人手里，然后最终到了消费者手里。那我做这个事情，我需要花多少钱？然后我如何实现我的愿景，实现我的战略，然后实现这个增长？然后我是不是要是有可能建立一个新的工厂？然后我需要看哪些数据，然后能怎样的去预测？那我然后又能够，比如说如何能够开发到，比如说进入到新的市场？那我针对比如说这么多不同的产品，就苹果产品，我能够比如说做出新的这个产品类型。那我们这个时候就看就是如何把技术，就是把它运用起来，就是通过从技术的角度来更深入的看待这个业务问题。我们如何很好的，比如说通过技术，让很多的这个问题，我们可以让它自动化，然后通过这个技术，然后将很多的这个业务进行整合，然后在这个整个生态系统里面呢，都发挥一个很好的作用。
Okay, let's show you a nice out-of-the-box thinking example. So there is a company, or there's an area, or maybe a government needs to create a new airport in a very tight spot. Let's say there's lots of buildings in the area and you need to build an airport right there. The problem is landing space is a problem. There is not a big enough area to have runways that just traditional runways. So you need to think as an airports company or a building company or a construction company or an engineering company out of the box. So if I cannot move the buildings and I cannot heighten the ground space, what do I do? So you have an alternative or no alternative area. You cannot move the airport. That's another problem that's in the current business domain. So what can you do? I see.
我们来看一个就是比较跳脱出我们常规思维框架的例子，就是比如说举个例子，就是比如可能一个国家或者说一个政府或者说一个可能飞机就是大型的航空公司，它需要建造一个新的机场，然后这个机场的位置呢是人口是非常密集的，但是然后这里就遇到一个问题，就是关于跑道的问题，人口是非常密集的。这个时候，然后这里就遇到一个问题，就是关于跑道的问题，人口是非常密集的。这个时候，然后这里就遇到一个其他的地方也不可以。那这个时候你能怎么做？那这个时候你比如说你可以从你比如说作为航空公司的角度，你作为比如说跑道，然后生产设计的这个公司，或者是说工程的公司，你从你的这个角度来思考，就是有没有我们其他能做的事情。
So if you are the company that's required, now think outside of your knowledge area, cross-domainal understanding, construction understanding, airports understanding, plane drag, landing, all of those factors come into play into this problem domain. So research other options and see if they can be applied to your area. Who said all landing strips have to be straight? Why don't you innovate and build a round one? Because that takes care of many problems. Number one, you don't need 5 or 10 kilometers of straight piece of land in order to get the plane to slow down or take off. The second problem you're solving is the real estate issue. You don't buy so much land to build an airport. It can be smaller. The other problem you are solving by innovating and thinking out of the box is what happens with many airplanes when they land and the airstrip is too short. They run out of runway. You have a plane crash. But in a round area, there is no end point. The plane can go around and around and around and never run out of runway. So you prevent planes from crashing because the runway was too short or the plane landed too late. You even solved that problem. Because of the innovation and the way you are thinking outside of your close domainal knowledge area, you are bringing in factors in a three-dimensional space. And this is where technology comes in. Machine learning practices, machine design practices, artificial intelligence. You need to learn more about planes. Maybe a flat round surface might not be the way. Maybe for a plane to land, you need to turn it maybe at 10 degrees in order for the drag to come into the round circle and not just run off the runway. So that's a possible opportunity for technology to come in. Automation practices, efficiency practices. How many planes can run after each other in an elliptical or in a round space? You don't need every 2-3 minutes, one takes off and one comes down. You can now, with time efficiency, you can now have maybe 3-4 planes running in the same circle, either taking off or landing at the same time. So you are actually improving the airport's efficiency rates and airplane takeoff and landing rates, which means you are reducing costs, which means technology is playing its role. That is an innovative way to solve a bigger problem. And that is how cross-domainal understanding and deeper tacit knowledge can bring up new products and new solutions to the surface for a company to get a competitive advantage and transfer that knowledge into a technology domain for the integration layer to take place at the right spot. I see.
那我们这个时候需要的就是跳出你的这个知识框架去思考，像我们前面提到的，我们可以通过就是跨领域的去理解和整合，我们就是同时将就比如说从建筑的角度，我们刚刚也提到了，可能像其他的就是工程的角度啊，或者是你这个就是着陆的就各个角度，我们把它结合起来思考。那这里我们可以就是研究。第二个就可以研究你去其他的选择，看看是否适用。那你就会想了，其实这个跑道它一定要是直的吗？那它是圆的又怎样？那后来呢，我们就发现这个圆的跑道呢，其实是更高效、更有效的，因为你没有必要去建立一个，比如说5到10公里长的去跑道，然后让飞机这样就是缓慢的降落，然后再慢慢的减速。那而且这样的话，你也不需要就是说占据很大的面积，然后你也可以提升它的这个安全性，去避免就是飞机可能降落的时候，因为各种问题可能出现了碰撞之类的。那这里我们就涉及到了您通过就是让跳出你的这个知识思维框架，你可以从像机器学习的角度，像人工智能的角度，然后来去看这个问题，我们就是如何让这个过程，比如通过技术让它更就是自动化、更高效。通过就是比如说我们把这个跑道，我们把它设计成圆形的，我们可以一方面我们提升了它的效率，然后一方面呢也提升了它这个着陆的效率，就是我们可以有同时，比如说3-4架飞机同时在这个圆形跑道上，然后这样着陆，这样，然后第3个我们还可以就是减少，这样就自然减少了你这个飞机场这个设计的这个成本，然后包括就是飞机这样运行、这样降落、跑道这个成本。那这个呢，就是一个非常创新的方式，就是你在做这个产品或者是服务的时候，你就去想是能否创造出一种新的就是思维、新的做事方式、新的解决方案。那这样呢，还可以让你就是真正成为这个市场的领导者。
Okay, I see the next slide is for a short break. Are we taking the break?
Yes.
How long?
Let me share my slides about 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
3 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let me share the slides.
Okay.
3 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let me share the slides.
OK。 OK，IC 把那个屏幕卸一下，跟我共享一下好了啊。OK，好，那么这个我想利用这个会议的中间的休息时间呢，跟大家一起分享一下我们的即将在海南举行的全球首届组织隐形技能管理论坛。这个呢，时间是2022年12月17号、18号2天在海南举行。那今年呢，我们这个会议呢，因为疫情问题原因呢，我们线下部分呢人比较少，可能就是因为政府限制，不让我们人很多聚集，大规模聚集。但线上部分呢，因为我这次活动呢，我们得到海南省政府的批准，海南省政府的支持，海南省人才局的大力支持，以及海南人才集团以及国投人力的大力支持。所以这次呢，我们的就是说整个论坛呢，预计呢，线上那观众部分呢，应该在300万到500万左右，这么个概念啊。从我们目前的报名情况来说呢，这还是比较那个量还是比较大的，所以呢，这个呢，欢迎大家呢，就是说尽快报名来，然后呢参与我们这个论坛。OK，IC 下一页。尽快报名来，然后呢参与我们这个论坛。OK，next page，IC 下一页。OK， 好，那么再往下翻好了，再往下翻。OK， 下一页。OK， 好，下一页。OK， 好。那么这个呢，这个论坛呢，就是说，你如果来，你可以去快速去获得这个票子。那这个票子呢，我们现在呢，今天呢应该是早鸟票的最后一天，699，从明天开始就恢复标准价999了，就不再有早鸟票了，因为早鸟票我们前面一直卖了几个月，全都是早鸟票。那如果你买了直播票以后呢，你可以获得这个所有我们讲座的 PPT 与回放，你可以参与那个我们的直播间啊，进入我们的直播间来。你也可以就是说参与到我们的社群，我们这次论坛呢可能会设差不多近100个左右的社群啊，你可以参与我们的社群。同时呢，你也可以获得我们的集中答疑，因为这次讲座以后，我们呢会把所有观众的问题收集起来，然后后面呢邀请我们的演讲嘉宾逐个进行回答，以每周论坛的形式回答观众的疑问啊，所以呢这样就是很集中要害，你解决大家的就是这些疑问啊，这是就是说那个你如果买了我们的票子，可以去获得这些福利啊。今天应该是最后一天可以有早鸟票，明天开始就是标准价啊，好吧？这是这一块。好，ICC 往下一页。可以有早鸟票，明天开始就是标准价啊，好吧？这是这一块。好，IC 下一页，下一页。OK， 好，那行，我们这就是简单的，我们就中间那个插播一个小小的广告啊，欢迎各位参与我们的组织隐形技能管理全球论坛啊，好吧？好，谢谢，咱们有请就是我们的Wernher教授继续。Thanks, Wernher。好，谢谢。咱们 Now you can just continue. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Good. I will continue to the next slide. So let me show you technology, current and future. So where are we today and what does the company need to look for going into the future? What can technology do today? So there's huge opportunities when using the correct platform. And what do I mean by platform? It can either be a software platform, it can be a hardware platform, it can be an in-house system, it can be an ERP system, it can be a cloud-based system. Cloud is a buzzword being used a lot these days. It's not the solution for all companies. Cloud can also hurt a company. You get private clouds and you get public clouds. For instance, a bank with 1 million customer accounts will be crazy to go a public cloud account because of hacks and leaks and problems and sensitivity of information. In that sense, in order to save costs, they invest in something like a private cloud or have their own in-house storage facilities and own servers with their own software in order to protect customer information as best as possible. Please note that doesn't prevent security flaws still happening and people still leaking information. We hear about this frequently in the news. A misconception is that technology can turn anything around. That is not true. The reason for that is technology cannot or sometimes will not solve a business problem that's inside the business itself. What it will do is provide possibilities and increase business reach in its own ecosystem, in its own business footprint, micro or macroeconomic levels. Technology will in many cases make problems inside a business highlight or blow up or give focus to it or show it in a new light. Technology in some cases will make business problems or inherent business process problems worse, because what you are doing by just throwing technology at the problem, you're automating your problem. So you're making the problem faster or you're making it bigger. Technology just shows that to you in a different light. Here's an example. An engine needs to perform better. Let's say this is a car manufacturing company and their engines are not performing as good as a competitor. So they start to investigate. A car manufacturer then says, or they go into research, they introduce more sensors into an engine to read more data points. Look at the issue that comes out. Data points highlight certain weak points not seen before. So inherent in that product, there's a tacit area during the design of the business problem. It's not a technological problem, it's a business design problem. This requires a redesign of the engine, because by adding more sensors and adding technology to it, they didn't increase the performance, they highlight a design flaw in the system. So this would not have been known without technology highlighting the problem. In this case, technology went into the domain and the tacit hidden design factor came to light, it came to the surface, which made the company then change their strategy. They have to redesign the engine. What did the technology do? It didn't solve the problem, it highlighted the business problem in a new light. I see.
那我们来继续，我们首先来看一下就是技术。那我们当前的技术是怎样的，然后以及未来的技术是怎样的。我们首先只要这个平台就使用得当的话，技术就能给我们带来很大的机会。这个技术呢，它包括我们的软件，也包括硬件，像我们企业内部的系统，像 ERP 系统，像这个云服务。你知道云这个词我们现在是非常流行的，但是云呢的服务它也并不是适用于所有的公司。像有的银行，它可能为了节省成本，它就会有设计一个比较私有的云，然后将自己的这个各种服务啊，包括客户的相关信息啊，然后都存到这个云里，然后呢也通过这个，然后来预测一些客户相关的信息。但这里呢也出现一个问题，就是可能出现一些信息泄露的问题，这个是需要注意的。然后我们知道云除了它私有的，就是也有公有的这个云。然后技术呢，它是我们有一个常见的比较错误的观点，就是大家认为技术好像可以是万能的，是可以扭转一切的，但事实并非如此。因为技术它是不能解决企业本身就是内部的这个业务问题的，它能做的就是给你这个企业提供各种可能性，然后可能帮助你解决这个业务问题，然后将你的业务范围可以扩大到涉及到各个领域。然后在很多时候通过技术，我们会让企业很多的内部然后把它爆发出来，或者说从一个新的角度展现出来。因为技术的话，它呢更多的，但有时候呢技术它也可能起到一个反作用。特别是当你企业出现一些问题的时候，那你这个技术呢，因为你让这个问题更加的自动化，然后让它更出现的问题的这个暴露呢出现的更快，然后问题反而可能越滚越大。这样，那这个举个例子，像比如说一家公司发现这个汽车制造商，他发现他的这个引擎有点问题，需要提升性能，他的这个引擎性能是 也不如他的竞争对手的，那他就开始展开研究了。那然后在研究过程当中，然后他就开始在这个引擎中加入了更多的传感器，然后这样呢就用来读取了更多的数据点。那这个数据点呢，它就突出了很多的问题，特别是以前没有发现的，没有克服的一些薄弱问题，然后导致发现我们需要重新设计这个引擎。那在我们这里出现的，比如说这个业务啊，这个引擎设计问题，它涉及到的其实就是这个隐性知识的领域。那技术它在这里扮演的角色，就是帮助你突出你这个业务问题，突出你在这个设计上的漏洞。那如果没有技术来突出这个问题的话，你可能它这个制造商他就没有办法去发现这个问题，因为正是通过技术，然后帮你就是转换了，就是要改变你这个战略，你要重新设计你的这个产品，然后这样自然就是帮助你问题就得到了解决。
Thank you. Okay. So, why is technology failing? Companies exposed to new technologies implement it without realizing the benefits. They get the product, they implement, and they don't understand why they're going this direction is one area. Automating processes that are not functioning will make it worse. If there's a process problem, fix the process problem. Don't throw technology at it. It will not solve it. It's going to make it worse. Changing to a new technology in a company under unrealistic timelines. If the problem is big and needs 3 months of design and planning, don't think in 3 days by changing a product you're going to solve that problem. It's unrealistic. The project will not make it. It will crash. Change management is important. Things sometimes take time in order to make processes go in a different direction. Don't think if you decide something on a Monday, by Friday it has changed. It will not work. Technology can fail if tacit knowledge is not correctly integrated into the solution, like I've already explained. If you don't look deep enough and those hidden domain factors don't come to the surface good enough, and it doesn't get transferred to the technology domain, the design is flawed. The technology solution is flawed. Software development fails, and this is really important, not because of build processes, but due to the requirements on what to build exactly. It's not the how, it's the what that's always the pressure point. Requirements and tacit knowledge integration problems, it sits exactly on the what to build. How is always easy. There's many programming languages. There's many software development platforms. There's many software development companies out there. It's not the how. They all follow strategic processes and design methodologies. It's the what. And that distinguishes an excellent software product from a mediocre one, I think.
我们很多时候呢，这个技术运用到这个项目中的时候，会导致这个项目的失败。它有以下的几个原因。首先是因为很多公司它就是刚接触到这个技术，它就直接就实施了，但是它本身其实并没有对这个技术它有充分的理解。第二个呢是它将就是那些你们在企业里可能有些自动化的流程，然后这个流程其实并没有起到多大的作用，但是你用技术，然后将这样的流程再自动化，只会让情况变得更糟。如果是你的流程出现了问题，那你就只解决流程，然后不需要技术的介入。第三个是，就是你这个在使用技术的时候啊，你这个就是时间，然后时间的设定呢是不合理的，就是可能有些，比如说你设计一个，比如新技术，或者是比如说一个软件或者一个系统，你可能需要3月的时间，但是你强行的可能缩短了时间，像1周这样子就要完成，那这个结果呢就会很容易导致失败。第四个就是变革管理很重要，就是你要允许有一定的时间，然后花时间去慢慢的去改变你的这个设计方向或者是战略方向。第5个是，如果说你的这个隐性知识没有被就是妥善的、正确的去整合到这个解决方案当中，也会就导致失败。最后一个是这个软件，比如说是软件开发失败了，它并不是因为你的这个软件这个构建的过程，而更多的是你就是构建这个你软件，然后你基于的以这个为基础的这个需求，你构建内容的需求是怎样的？就是你的 这个不是你的这个失败，并不是因为说你聚焦了它的这个过程，并不是说 how，而更多的是你要专注在就是内容，专注在什么这个内容的基础上，就是内容，比如像你的这个战略啊，像你很多的，比如说你的设计方法这才是你关注的一个重点。然后这个呢，这里也就是涉及到了我们的一个需求跟隐性知识的整合问题。因为当你这样进行整合的时候呢，你可以就让你的这个隐性知识得到显性化。
Okay. So what future technology can do? I'm going to talk a little bit on artificial intelligence. AI will not solve all problems. It's a facade. It's a utopia that many people believe in. It's not true. Machine learning models can only make guesstimates on the data it is being trained on because of statistical patterns in models. There's a weighting factor. There's mathematical models behind it. It's based on the data that's underlying on that you feed those systems to learn patterns. Companies do make use of patterns, yes, in data to explore new markets, but that does not mean those patterns are real. A classical example, if the data that's being fed to a decision-making, a machine learning model algorithm is that of all clothes being sold in a retail shop, 80% is bought by women and 20% is bought by men. What does the pattern show? That 80% of all sales are being for all clothes goes to women. That's a facade pattern, because what you need deeper investigation is what is the type of clothes the woman buys, because it can be that only 40% are women's clothes and 60% are kids and male clothes, which means 80% of sales is not women clothes based, but only 40% of that 80%. That's a deeper insight knowledge. But if you only feed that 80% of all clothes sales are women-based, and you ask a new data point in future, the machine is going to come to a guesstimate that you need to invest in women's clothes in order to push up your sales. That pattern is not reality. It's fake. It's lying to you. Okay. Data can provide a ghost pattern, which does not exist. It depends on the underlying structure of the data, I think.
那我们再来看一下未来的技术。未来技术，比如说像人工智能，它能做些什么？首先，人工智能它是不能解决所有问题的。那在机器学习这一块呢，机器学习模型我们只能对一些就是相关的数据跟你这个机器学习它就是进行一个训练的系统训练的时候，然后当时所用的数据只能对这样的数据进行猜测。第三个是很多公司它可能会利用这数据中的这个模式，然后来进行预测啊，去进行就是开拓新的市场。但有时候其实这些模式、这些数据其实并不一定是真实的，因为数据它有时候会就是呈现一个不存在的幽灵模式。那举个例子，比如说我们像比如说一组数据，比如说可能是比如说一幅衣服的销售数据，然后是说80%，然后要是售出的是女性的衣服，然后20%，然后就是男性的衣服。然后这个机器呢，它可能就记录这样的模式，然后它会，比如说它的就是得出一个结论，就是说，就是可能这样可能所有的衣服就是销售呢都是女性的，它可能会出现这样的就是错误。那在公司做决策的时候，如果说没有基于一个真实的数据做决策的话，然后后面就可能会导致你这个项目的失败。所以就是数据这一点一定要注意。
Okay, let me show a quick example. A farmer reads a report that red apples in the UK are in high demand. So he plants 80% of his vineyard red apple trees and 20% green trees. He takes the apples to the market and the price of red apples are much lower. What went wrong? The data in the report only had a 1-year analysis graph, the business intelligence analytics of the underlying data structure. And in that year, red apples were in high demand. The reason why red apples were introduced for the first time, but the farmer failed to see the context. He didn't look deeper at the Tacit critical success factor for his strategy and his vision as he wants to increase his profit margin. So the data caused a ghost pattern that did not exist because of a time problem. A time factor was missing during the analysis when the analysis was done. I see.
我们再举一个例子，就是有一位农民，他看到了一份报告，然后这份报告显示是英国的红苹果，它的需求量很大，所以呢，他就种了80%的红苹果，然后还有20%的绿苹果。但是当他把这个苹果带到市场卖的时候，他发现这个红苹果的价格就要低很多。那这个时候问题到底出现在哪里呢？其实问题就是他虽然看了这份报告，然后有这个数据，但这个数据它的这个时间，它其实只基于1年情况的分析，只是1年的这个数据分析结果。而在那一年的话，它的这个红苹果需求量确实很大。然后其实真实的原因是因为当时其实在这个之前呢，当时市场上是没有红苹果的，而那一次呢，因为是第一次红苹果引进了，然后大家因为基于一个新鲜感，所以那一年的红苹果需求量很大。但是其实到了第2年的时候，就红苹果的这个需求量就是另外一回事了。这个就是因为这个农民他只看到了这个一次的，他没有看到这个背后的含义，所以就造成了这个数据它其实呈现了一个幽灵模式。
Okay. So, focus areas to support tacit knowledge elicitation and technology integration. All of these areas need to be understood quite well. Let me just increase that one a little bit so we can see better. There we go. Okay. Business specialization. What is the business currently doing and how well needs to be looked at? Data analytics. What patterns do business see and understand? Is the data telling the truth? Databases and archives can provide insight into business practices as well as cost-saving measures not yet known. There can be a pattern that's not seen that is being highlighted by technology that you can do something about. For instance, factories are taking 10 minutes to produce something instead of 7 minutes to produce the same product. There's a cost-saving measure. There's an efficiency problem there that technology can point out. IT can provide platform to help businesses with tacit knowledge extraction and integration to realize the benefits envisaged. So if the hidden domain factors come to the surface quite well, the Venn diagrams integrate much better between the technology and the business side and the software and everything that needs to be built, and then the successes come out. Infrastructure of the business and what it will need in the medium to long term. When you look at all of these cross-domainal aspects, in order to get the integration layer right, business and innovation happens. New products come out, new technologies come out, and new company direction and competitive advantage becomes a reality. I see.
现在我们来看，就是这个我们要支持隐性知识萃取和技术整合需要关注的几个点。首先，第一个是数据分析，就是你企业你要看到，就是你要知道你看到的这个数据，你对它的理解，它的这个模式是怎样的，这个数据它是否真实。第二个是我们可以通过各种各样的数据库和档案，然后去了解到各种比如说最佳的商业实践，以及我们还没有实施的就可以帮我们节约成本的这些措施。第三个是 IT， 就我们叫 IT， 它是可以提供一个平台的，它是可以帮助我们企业萃取和整合隐性知识，然后实现预期的收益。第四个就是像企业，就是你的这个基础架构，以及你现在比如说中期以及长期你企业的需求是怎样的。最后呢，就是你企业，就是你聚焦的这个你擅长的地方，是企业目前它是在做什么的，然后它就是而且你做的怎么样。然后我们在做就是关注这个业务，我们的企业和创新的时候呢，就通过比如说结合这几个点，然后去交叉的去理解，在这个基础上，然后我们去设计出我们的新的产品、新的技术，然后得出我们新的 可能公司的发展方向，以及我们自己的优势在哪里。
So let me talk a little bit some of the tools to support tacit knowledge elicitation practices and technology integration. 5 whys. The technology manufacturing company is actually using this. They were one of the first implementers of this. They look at why something is happening. The process is flawed. The product isn't working. They ask why, and drill deeper and deeper and deeper until they get to the core of the problem. Another tool that one can use is rich picture design. Some people call it mind maps. It's where you understand stakeholders, intricacies, players, markets, competition, focus areas, and all the different players that evolve around the company, an ecosystem, micro and macroeconomic levels. Remember, this is a keep on evolving, three-dimensional, non-static model that evolves on a daily basis. I see.
最后呢，我们来看一下，就是知识隐性、知识萃取和技术整合的工具。第一个呢是，可能大家有一些人了解的是叫五问分析法。这个五问就是你对就是自己的产品啊、业务啊、服务啊，你就通过5个为什么，然后不断的提问，去找到其中的问题。这个通过5问法，我们可以发现就是为什么会出现这样的问题，然后我们的流程它的缺陷在哪里。然后为什么我们的产品它无法使用，或者是说使用效果不佳？然后呢，第二个我们是可以通过就是丰富的图片设计，比如思维导图，这样去了解这个利益相关者，还有各个就是参与者之间这种错综复杂的关系，以及了解市场、然后竞争以及相关我们需要聚焦的这些领域等等。
Okay. I'm continuing with some tools that I use to help companies through this process. PESTEL stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental views. So you analyze the problem domain from different angles in this factors with these special focus areas while looking at options and solutions. It provides a company or a product or even a department a very holistic view where they fit in the bigger scheme of things, especially when a company is testing a new vision or a new area, or maybe want to open up a factory in a new country. Maybe they're expanding their manufacturing processes. SWOT analysis, many of you already know this, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This looks at where the company is positioned and what opportunities are ahead of them, threats either from new competitors, maybe there's a market change, the demand drops for their product, that's a threat, that is a warning sign to a company, they need to do something in order to keep that product in demand for a longer period or introduce a new product. I see.
第3个工具叫做 PESTEL， 然后这个是我们分别就是从政治、经济、社会、技术、法律、环境这几个角度去分析问题。比如说你想开一家新的工厂，然后去到就是另一个国家，一个新的国家，那首先你肯定要了解一下，比如说这个国家当地它的这些政治啊、经济、社会、技术、法律环境是怎样的，是不是有利于你去做这样的扩张。然后第4个是 SWOT 分析，就是优势、劣势、机会、威胁分析。你要研究你公司的就是内部、外部的情况，以及你们所处的这些领域。你要知道你就是目前的优势在哪里，然后你的劣势在哪里，然后要去想把这个你的弱势，然后去变成优势。
I'm continuing. This methodology I developed myself. It stands for TQCI square, or time, quality, cost, innovation, and impact. When doing a project, one needs to quickly determine, have like a spot check methodology to know if a project is in good standing or not. TQCI square allows one to determine it by investigating specific checkpoints. This tool can provide a quick way to determine if a project or product is in dangerous territory, a zone. It supports the 5 whys methodology or tool very well. Let me give you an example. If a company moves very deep into research, the time factor will take long, the quality will be very high, and the cost might be very high. but they need to determine if that research project will have a high enough impact and innovation level in order to justify the risk and the cost. An IT project, they might be moving from one system to a new system. So they need to determine how is the change management going, time, quality, cost, innovation, and impact. If the innovation is very low and the impact is very low at a strategic vision or decision-making level to move from one system to another system, then it does not justify the time, the quality, and the cost to pursue that channel or that avenue. So this way, one can quickly determine if it's worth doing something. Is the risk, can the risk maybe be mitigated if a big risk does come up during project execution cycle? And where is a company during its implementation phase of a project or a product or a new market they are entering into? I see.
然后这个 TCQI² 是我设计的一个模型，它具体是时间、质量、成本、创新和影响。就我们在做项目的时候，就需要快速的了解这个情况。那通过这个工具，它就可以帮助我们就通过特定的某个检查点，然后确定我们的这个项目的情况。然后比如说举个例子，就是我们比如说在研究，然后你在研究的时候，你的时间，首先你看做一个研究项目，你看你所花的时间是不是很长，然后你的这个质量是不是很高，然后你的成本又是不是很高，然后这个时候你再来看就是你的创新力度是不是足够的高，它所带来的影响是不是足够的大，就通过这个创新和影响的角度来衡量你所花的时间成本是不是合理的。比如说比如说我们就说 IT 部门嘛，比如说要换系统，它换到一个新的系统去，那这个时候你就要看了，你换这个新的系统，如果说它的这个创新程度比较低，然后最后能带来的影响也比较低的话，那这可能就说明你所花的这个时间质量可能就是不是很合理的。然后这个工具它是可以帮助你决定你在做具体的某件事或者某个项目是不是值得，你的风险程度是不是很高，这个是可以帮助你去衡量的。
The last tool I'm going to talk about quickly is TOGAF. It's a methodology framework specific for information technology projects. It's got various phases. And during a project execution provides the steps and focus areas when a project and a team works together from business and technology side, when the two sides debate and look at the solution to be developed. Its strength lies in an as-is and to-be scenario. As-is is the current status, and to-be what would we like it to be as part of this process. It's got phases from A to H under the TOGAF framework model. And the second phase, the business architecture phase, is the one where you usually spends the most time on in order to try and mine the tacit knowledge, in order to see deeper into the problem domain, to pull it out. So the technology practices and tools and solutions and design can incorporate that to ensure, and it doesn't always work, but to ensure that the software is a success. Because then sometimes you have cost overruns or unrealistic timelines. The tacit knowledge is then not causing the problem, but the way of implementation. I see.
最后一个框架叫做开放组体系结构框架。那这个框架它可以特别是在我们实施一个项目的时候，它可以帮助我们去明确具体的项目步骤，还有以及我们所需要关注的一些重点。那这里有就是2个场景涉及到，一个是当下的一个场景，还有个是未来的场景。然后它这个呢是我们整个过程的一部分。然后这里呢，它也是同时就是整合了这个业务和技术，就通过这样跨领域的整合和理解，然后深入的去研究这个问题。我们通过各种各样的就是像技术，像各种各样的工具啊，各种各样的方法，然后确保你就是对这个业务，然后你的这个解决问题的时候，你是对业务有足够的了解，也是充分的建立在这个业务基础之上的，然后把你的这个 隐性的部分把它显性化，然后最后呢，然后我们是可以实现，就是保证这个项目的成功。
So maybe just a last slide. If you need more information, talk to us, come to us. I'm there. I help. I guide. I consult. I support companies. I've been through this many times. Now, questions that you need to ask yourself. Is your company not seeing the results it expects from its IT and its IT investment? If you have any questions on what has been presented and would like to explore opportunities open, please be in touch with me. If you need any advice and support on an integrated perspective, sometimes I look at different tools and different aspects. If we have developed and built knowledge over many, many years and many tacit elicitation processes. I also wrote a paper on this many years back already. Our speciality resides in doing things differently. We look at aspects and problems differently, and I look at new avenues and new opportunities that some people might not see or they might miss. We do not just talk theory. There's practical solutions and applications and benefits to tacit knowledge when you bring business and IT domains together in the right manner. There's sometimes unexplored territories that's right in front of a company's eyes they're not seeing. So as a solutioneer, come talk to us, see how we can help you, and I see, over to you.
最后呢，是大家如果就是有各种各样的问题的话，可以联系我们，然后我们可以帮助大家。比如说，就是你遇到以下的问题，像你的公司，你们就是做了足够的 IT 的投入，但是你却没有得到预期的结果。还有就是你对我刚才就是我的分享，然后大家如果有疑问的话，或者说是你想探索一些新的机会，但不知从何下手的时候，可以就是联系我。然后或者是当你需要，比如说从一个比较全面、比较综合的角度想获得一个建议或者支持的时候，都可以就是联系我们。那我们呢，其实因为有了很多年的就是这个知识库的积累，我们可以在就是你的企业，然后在做隐性知识萃取过程当中，我们可以给予支持。然后我们呢是很擅长就是从不同的角度做事情的，然后可以为公司去开辟新的途径、新的市场。然后呢，我们不只是说就是谈理论方面，我们也去实际去构建实际的解决方案，然后通过整合这个业务和 IT， 然后实现隐性知识所能带来的好处。那我们是解决方案的提供者，所以大家有问题的话可以尽管联系我们。
Thank you. This is just my contact details. I'm also on LinkedIn. And then one more thing I just would like to mention, because of time, we're at the time edge for the webinar. There are much more slides than this that I prepared in the pack. There's a practical set as well, how I teach and work with companies. We are planning to have a separate one, either as a one-on-one webinar session that I do with companies or in a group setting where I actually implement each and every tool that I've explained here and show how it has an impact in a company's decision to solve their technology integration problems with tacit domain elicitation practices coming up to the surface. Thank you very much.
这个是我的联系方式，我的邮箱，然后大家也可以通过 LinkedIn 联系到我。然后在这个其实 PPT 后面其实还有很多页的 PPT， 然后也是关于这个就是我们今天讲的东西的一个扩展，一个具体的案例。如果大家感兴趣的话，我可以分享给大家。因为我们公司的话，我们做了很多年的，就是将这个业务和技术进行整合，然后帮就公司去做决策，然后特别是隐性知识就是管理这一块，然后大家如果有兴趣的话，可以联系我，然后帮公司去做决策，然后特别是隐性知识管理。
Professor Wernher, for your wonderful sharing. I think this is really awesome. I really like it. I mean, so 那么今天呢，我们非常感谢我们的教授呢，今天给我们讲。就像教授讲的一样的。那么今天呢，我们I mean, Professor, as we discussed before, so the later part, we will try to arrange a time for you to share with us in 2023, the next year. OK， IC 给我来共享，你别共享，我自己共享。OK， 说 that will be something for the forum or for the webinar. So we will try to arrange time for you to continue your sharing for the real practice you did it in the past. I think that's really valuable. 那么，今天呢，因为时间关系呢，我们呢就邀请到，就是说 Wernher 教授给我们大家分享到这里。当然，如果大家有问题的话，可以在群里面问。So now we have the Q&A session. Any questions from our audience? Let's see what other questions from our audience. Any questions?
那如果有问题的话，可以提问。
Let's see what other questions from our audience. Yeah, any questions? 大家有问题吗 ？Okay. Okay, if no questions, then we may move on. 到我们的这个反馈环节。那么每次活动结束以后呢，我们就希望各位呢给到我们足够的反馈。那我们每次这个反馈呢，我们都会认真去看大家的反馈情况。我们希望把这个论坛呢做得更好。OK。那同时呢，这只是我们论坛的，只是我们在全球传播组织隐形技能理论方法和实践的一部分。那么，就像我前面跟大家分享的，我们在12月17号、18号在博鳌举办这个线下的论坛和线上的直播，欢迎大家呢去参与啊。那么同时呢，也欢迎大家呢把我们这样的视频和讲座的信息分享给你身边的朋友，我们叫做送人玫瑰，手有余香。拯救组织隐形技能，它能够帮助个人振兴企业和增强国力，推动组织隐形技能萃取和传承在中国以及全球的发展，造福社会。我们不仅要倡议拯救组织隐形技能的，而且还要研究组织隐形技能萃取、管理、传承的方法。更重要的是在全社会普及，让我们很多朋友呢不再，尤其很多年轻人不再去通过不断的去试错去学习，而是直接向那些已经被验证过的经验去学习，这样呢，毫无疑问呢，让他成长速度会更快。然后呢，那么最后呢，再次感谢大家的参与，让我们12月17号、18号再见啊！也同时欢迎大家扫码入群，获取相关这些资料啊。然后呢，那么我们这个活动呢，今天这个活动呢，就到此啊。感谢各位的参与，好吗？咱们12月17号、18号见。So see you next time on December 17 and 18 for our forum. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you, Professor. Thank you.